2024 is in the books here in Houston. We're looking back on the year's wild, weird, and sometimes wacky weather stories that a lot of you were talking about this year. From solar eclipses to hurricanes and viral myths about crayon candles, the KHOU 11 Verified team did their part sorting fact versus fiction from many of the claims seen online. Welcome to your 2024 Verify, Houston's Weather Unwrapped. I'm Ron Trevino. First up, remember all the excitement across the nation on this year's eclipse? It wasn't just a celestial spectacle. It had some of you wondering if this could be problematic for the power grid. Let's verify those power concerns.
12 million Texans live in the path of the eclipse, and while we expect it to be dark, we don't want a blackout. So we verify, will the eclipse have an impact on the state power grid? Our sources include ERCOT, NASA, and Rice University Associate Professor of Environmental Engineering, Daniel Cohen. Right now, solar power generates at times as much as a third of the state's electricity. When totality happens in parts of Texas, solar farms along the path of the eclipse will see a significant drop in production because the sun's light will be obscured by the alignment of the sun, moon, and Earth. When this happens, Texas has other resources to ensure the lights stay on.
So when that solar power drops off, it should be pretty easy for other sources like natural gas to pick up the slack.
In early February, ERCOT released a report noting the April 8th eclipse, saying in part, this event will have an impact on the solar power production in the region between approximately 12:15 p.m. and 3:10 p.m. It continues, ERCOT expects to use all available tools to maintain grid reliability.
Overall, for the power grid, this should be a non-event if ERCOT manages it properly. They've gotten pretty used to doing that around sunset on many days.
According to the schedule obtained by the KHOU 11 Verified team, ERCOT has an 11 days long plan to get its marketplace of power suppliers ready for the eclipse. They will monitor the weather for any changes that could warrant an increase in demand. What's also making this event uneventful? The eclipse is not happening when there's high demand on the grid, like during a Texas heat wave. When it's blazing hot outside, Texas relies most on its solar power generation to keep those air conditioners running. So we can verify the eclipse will have an impact on the state power grid. But while it may be darker outside, the state should not be left in the dark. With your Verify, I'm Cheryl Mercedes.
Now that the great American eclipse has come and gone, what can you do with your eclipse glasses if you're not planning on holding on to them until 2044? We had our KHOU Verified team look into that after seeing your questions on Reddit and other social media sites. Here are our sources: the American Academy of Ophthalmology, Astronomers Without Borders, and the City of Houston's Solid Waste Management Department. If you're not planning on holding on to your eclipse glasses as a keepsake and want to recycle them, the City of Houston says to remove and throw away the lenses and recycle the cardboard. You do have some options if you want to donate the glasses, according to the American Academy of Ophthalmology. Locally, Astronomers Without Borders are collecting undamaged glasses at Warby Parker. You can also send them to Eclipse Glasses USA. You can find that info and more on KHOU.com. These recycling programs will help folks here and around the world who likely wouldn't be able to safely watch these amazing events. With your Verify, I'm Ron Trevino. Just before the start of hurricane season, the Houston area was hit with a derecho storm that brought tornadoes and dangerous winds. So much of the area saw damages that were similar to past hurricanes. So many of you saw this video of a framed house being knocked over and wondered, is the derecho responsible for the damage? KHOU 11's Verify team rolled up their sleeves. Check out what they found. Account after account, from X to Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram, millions of people have seen this framed home collapse. All the videos claim it happened during the Houston area's derecho.
Oh, there it goes.
People are in awe of this collapse, and thousands want to know, is the video of a framed house collapsing during the severe wind event real? We went to our sources to find out. The KHOU 11 Verified team took a frame of this video and popped it into Google Lens. A list of possible sources showed the frame home falling, but none of them turned out to be the original video. Some of the biggest issues: the date of the storm is wrong, and there's no exact location of where the collapse happened.
Seeing that frame fall down it was just like a complete domino effect. It was insane.
But one person the KHOU 11 Verified team tracked down knew exactly what happened because she was there.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, that was me.
Chastity White posted the video to her Instagram the day of the storm, May 16th. She was in Willis, in a neighborhood near Lake Conroe. At the time, the weather turned grim, meeting with her business partners.
I mean, it all happened within like 10 minutes of us getting to the house.
But the home collapsing wasn't the only shocking moment.
Can you see us? Then we got that strike of lightning. And it scared us to death.
Moments later, the house crumbled.
And Randy said, "Oh, I guarantee you it will, because it doesn't have any bracing on it yet."
All of it caught on camera and posted to Chastity's Instagram page.
And a friend of mine called me and she was like, "Do you know that your video has gone completely viral with 2.1 million views?" And I was like, "No, I had no clue."
Starting route to Willis.
The KHOU 11 Verified team checked out the aftermath, matching all the elements of the video together. So yes, we can verify the video of a framed house collapsing during the severe wind event is real.
It was an experience, one that I never want to experience again.
Oh, there it goes.
The viral video of a home under construction collapsing in Willis was taken from Instagram and posted all across social media. On each video, thousands of comments were about Texas's state code enforcement and building codes, including one that said the state had none. So the question, does Texas have a statewide enforced residential building code? We went to our sources, including the Texas Builders Association and International Code Council. Texas does have building codes. In fact, a month before this structure fell, a report from the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety ranked hurricane-prone states for the strength of their residential building regulations. Texas came in 16th out of 18 states on the list. In the IBHS report, Texas was docked mainly for its lack of code enforcement.
There's not a state enforcement agency of the code. That is left to, like many states, the local governments.
In a state as big as Texas, this creates a patchwork of codes and enforcement among the hundreds of cities and counties. Like in our area, the city of Houston follows the 2021 version of the International Residential Code, but Harris County does not. State law does not require counties to adopt a residential code, and there are several others in our area that do not. According to the Texas Association of Builders, home construction in these areas will instead come up with additional inspections.
You get inspections from independent third-party inspectors. You provide notice to the county that you passed those building codes, and if you do not provide that notice, the county has enforcement actions.
So does Texas have a statewide enforced residential building code? The answer is no. Texas does not have a statewide enforced residential building code. It's up to municipalities to adopt new versions of the code and enforce it. And according to Texas law, builders can be prosecuted for failing to have an inspection done on a home. With your Verify, I'm Cheryl Mercedes.
Summer in Houston brings a lot of heat and a lot of risks when it comes to leaving kids or pets in cars. But if you break a window to save a life, could you end up facing charges? Let's verify.
The National Weather Service says it takes just 10 minutes for a child to die from heat stroke while trapped inside a car. Since 1998, Texas has led the nation in child deaths with 142 lives lost. According to Texas law, you can break a window to save a child, but could you face charges?
I was a district attorney.
South Texas College of Law Houston professor Tom Hogan says the answer is clear.
No district attorney is going to do that. And then even if a district attorney was crazy enough to do that, no Texas jury would ever convict somebody who was trying to save a child from a car, from the heat of a car in the Texas summer.
On the civil side, he says there are two pieces of state law that apply.
Texas has a Good Samaritan statute that generally protects somebody who is acting reasonably in the attempt in an emergency to rescue somebody.
Along with the legal doctrine of necessity, which in this case means saving the child outweighs the harm of breaking the car window. And then there's the insurance side.
Whether it's the person whose car had to be broken through, their insurance might cover it. Your own car insurance possibly would cover it if you had to break through somebody else's car window to do it.
As for a pet in the car, the law isn't quite there yet.
And there is a companion bill that is out there right now that also would cover pets under the same circumstances. Hasn't passed the legislature yet.
Ultimately, acting quickly and calling 911 right away will help save the life of a child or pet. The most sobering statistic, 100% of hot car child deaths are preventable.
Hurricane season kicked off on June 1st this year, which meant many of you did your part to get prepped. But there were many myths being spread across the web showing some unique ways to get prepped, from taping your windows to stashing your documents in the dishwasher. Here's what experts told us regarding some of those myths.
Across social media, you'll find some unique and creative ways people are preparing for an incoming storm.
There's a lot of misinformation floating around out there about what to do in the event of a storm.
Like using a washing machine for document storage.
It has absolutely been proven false.
Or crayons for candles.
The worst thing, I guess, that could happen during a hurricane is you accidentally catch your house on fire.
The KHOU 11 Verified team turned to the experts at Texas A&M, LSU, and scientific research organization IBHS to find out why some myths that almost make sense are false. Starting with people assuming they are safe riding out a storm on a higher floor than where floodwater can reach them.
Being upstairs is not the best bet because the roof could fly off.
And you don't want to venture out on your balcony.
The best place to be is probably the interior of a house on the bottom floor. You do not want to be anywhere near windows. To be safe, you need to be inside probably like a closet or a bathroom that doesn't have any windows.
When the power goes out, using candles or even crayons, as one social media post suggests, is not safe or recommended.
I would say flashlights are the best option, and to make sure that you have enough batteries, candles can be used as a backup with extreme caution though.
When it comes to the dishwasher, this social media myth has circulated online since 2017.
About the only thing safe in the dishwasher in a hurricane are maybe dishes that you don't want to break.
With more than 1 million shares, despite the poster's intent to help, the dishwasher is not waterproof and won't protect your most important documents.
So they may still get water in there and still get muddy, but any kind of documents definitely keep in plastic.
Documents you want to have with you include wills, deeds, birth certificates, and even shot records for your pets.
A shelter may need these kind of records. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, we usually help with the animal shelters after a storm has came through.
Also, you can skip the dishwasher and the washing machine as a way of keeping food and drinks cold. Without power, a non-working appliance won't keep things cold and can't drain the water and could break.
Over the last 5 decades, sustained wind speed is the way the National Hurricane Center classifies storms. The scale peaks at Category 5 with hurricanes that have winds of 157 miles per hour or higher. But 2 climate scientists say global warming is contributing to more powerful storms, and the current Saffir-Simpson scale should form a new Category 6 for storms with winds of 192 miles per hour. So, could we see Category 6 added to the hurricane scale? The KHOU 11 Verified team turned to the National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Service, and NOAA to find out. Changes to the Saffir-Simpson scale do not happen often. Since it was introduced to the public in 1973, only 2 changes have been adopted. The most significant happened in 2009. The National Hurricane Center eliminated pressure and storm surge ranges from the categories, making the scale based only on wind readings. Turns out 2008's Hurricane Ike was the linchpin for that change.
How could any reasonable person hear a 15 to 20 foot storm surge forecast not evacuate a barrier island? I think what we saw is people were hung up on this Saffir-Simpson scale shifting west.
Jamie Rome is Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. He also heads up the National Hurricane Center's Storm Surge Unit. Speaking with KHOU 11's Chief Meteorologist David Paul at the National Hurricane Conference, Rome echoes the climate scientist's claims that storms are getting more intense. But he also says, no, The National Hurricane Center will not be adding a Category 6 to the hurricane scale because there's more danger to a hurricane than just the wind.
We're also seeing a trend towards greater mortality or deaths from this inland flooding component. It used to be the storm surge was the greatest cause of direct fatality. Now it's rain and freshwater flooding if you look at the last 10 years.
As a result, the National Hurricane Center is working to make more people aware they need to take action against dangerous flooding that could happen near your home.
When Hurricane Beryl swept through Houston, many of us were without power. This left a lot of you worried about whether or not energy linemen were footing the bill during storms, plus a lot of confusion on tracking power outages. Here's what the Verified team found in the aftermath of Beryl.
Right now, most people in the Houston area cannot track exactly where the power is on. That's because the area's main service provider, CenterPoint, does not have a map for customers to see. But a post on X that's been viewed more than 7 million times says the Whataburger app works as a power outage tracker. So we verify. Can the Whataburger app be used to track where power is being restored? Among our sources, Whataburger's president and CEO, Ed Nelson. The Whataburger locations are listed on the map. According to a statement to the KHOU 11 Verify team, locations with an orange W have power and are drive-through only. If you click on the store that's open, if there's a hamburger, online ordering is available, but use with caution. Whataburger says the app should only be used as a general idea of power availability. So the answer, yes, the Whataburger app can be used to track where power is restored to their restaurants, but it may not be an indication of the neighborhood around it. And the company also says they encourage people to call the Whataburger location before going to make sure they are open and serving.
Dozens of people have emailed the KHOU 11 Verify team about a viral post claiming line workers have to pay for their motel and food due to payment disagreements and pay negotiations. Linemen are waiting to start working. To verify, we went to our sources, including CenterPoint Energy, Houston's local electrical worker union, and the Edison Electric Institute, or EEI. According to the Electrical Workers Local Union 66, in a statement to KHOU 11, they say there is no active negotiations for those union employees because all union employees working for CenterPoint via a contractor are working under an agreement that expires in 2025.
There is absolutely no negotiating that is happening in the middle of a storm.
Scott Aronson is EEI's VP for Security and Preparedness. The association represents all U.S. investor-owned electric companies like CenterPoint, and the viral post popped up on his radar. Our Verify producer asked,
what makes that post so incorrect?
So electric companies, before a storm ever happens, they have standing contracts, standing agreements with a lot of different contracting organizations and with their peer utilities.
Also referred to as a mutual assistance group, these companies come in to help with just time and material. On Sunday, July 14th, CenterPoint in a release says crews have not and are not being held back due to negotiations on pay. So the post claiming disagreements and negotiations over pay are the cause of line workers waiting to start working is false. When it comes to claims over covering costs for housing and food, CenterPoint told the KHOU 11 Verify team on Friday, July 12th, the entire team on this effort, including the mutual assistance crews, will be paid for their incredible work. With your Verify, I'm Jalissa Garza.
If you've been in Houston for long, you may have heard the term 100-year flood. But does it actually mean what it sounds like? Spoiler alert, it does not. Here's everything you need to know. Allison.
I am in awe. I cannot believe the amount of water that I see down here.
Harvey.
This is a record event we've never seen before.
Imelda.
The water came up higher than I've ever seen it come up before.
3 storms that brought historic flooding to the Houston area in just the last couple of decades. All 3 100-year flood events, if not worse. So how can that be? Does a 100-year flood mean that it happens only once a century? We went to our sources, FEMA, the U.S. Geological Survey, and Harris County Flood Control District.
So problem is a 100-year flood, that phrase was really pretty quickly seen to be a misnomer.
Instead of thinking about it as a once in a 100-year event, Carl Winters with the USGS says it's about the average chance.
So what we do now is we try to put it in terms that describe the random nature of a series of annual flood peaks. We say it's the flood that has a 1% chance every year being equal or exceeded.
Jeff Lindner with the Harris County Flood Control District explains it this way.
If you had water in your house today, you don't have 99 more years to go until potentially you see that again. It resets immediately. And so tomorrow, you once again have a 1% chance of having water reach that elevation or potentially get inside your house. And if you expand that to a 30-year period, the life of most mortgages, it's a 26% chance that you will see water in that 100-year floodplain or 1% chance area over the span of 30 years.
So, no, a 100-year flood doesn't mean it can only happen once in a century. And with all the bayous, creeks, and rivers in the area, our experts say don't be overconfident.
You may hear on the news that a 1% chance a flood event happened. That might not be your watershed, and you're thinking, hey, water didn't come near my house, I'm safe. It might not have been your watershed that had that 1% in a chance flood, and that's why it didn't come close to you.
And that everyone should have flood insurance.
Flooding is our number one natural hazard here, and we can flood 12 months out of the year.
To avoid the sky-high repair costs, the KHOU Verify team got the facts on the policies that'll help cover the costs from hail damage. Here's a list of our sources. If your car is dinged up because of hailstones, according to the Texas Department of Insurance, comprehensive coverage is enough to ensure your repair costs are covered. About 45% of Harris County residents are renters. If you have renter's insurance, it will only cover your personal property, but it also will pay out additional living expenses if you have to move out of your place until damages are repaired. If you own your own home, make sure you have wind and hail insurance as part of your policy. If it's not available, the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association can offer coverage when insurance companies decline protection. But right now, only property owners in 14 counties, including Brazoria, Chambers, Galveston, Jefferson, Matagorda, and parts of Harris County east of Highway 46, are eligible to apply for a TWIA policy. Texas's insurance department says it is possible to get coverage that takes effect the same day, but that's dependent on when the insurance company or agent finalizes the policy. That sometimes takes a day or more. Did you know that more than 50% of all flood-related deaths are vehicle-related? According to data from our sources, including the National Weather Service, the CDC, and UTSA, Texas, unfortunately, has the most flood-related deaths in the country. The Houston area even topping the country for an 11-year-long stretch. According to a study done by UTSA, the most vehicle-related deaths in Texas came in 2007 with 32. A decade later, when Hurricane Harvey hit, of the 67 flood fatalities, 20 deaths were vehicle-related. That included a family of 6 who died when their van was swept away. But it doesn't take a named storm for tragedy to strike. In Texas, 61% of vehicle-related deaths happened during flash flooding. Since officials have started the effort to remind people to turn around, don't drown when they see high water, the numbers of lives lost has gone down dramatically.
That's a wrap on this year's Verify Houston's Weather Unwrapped. A reminder, KHOU 11's Verify team is here to help you sort through all the myths, the facts, and the bizarre. I'm Ron Trevino. We'll see you next time.